Alrighty, good evening, Arkansas. This is Chief Forecaster Cameron. This is our Executive Director, Rich, and we have Jeff Baskin here. We're going to give you guys a quick live stream going over tonight's threat, Wednesday's threat. We're going to talk about the specifics on what to expect. I want to stress this before we get started. Please hold your questions because we've got a ton of information that we got to go over. Please be kind to our moderators. Be kind in the comments. Just be patient with us, guys, okay? This is a lot of information that we've got to go over first before we start answering questions and we start talking about the specifics and stuff like that. So, first and foremost, before we get started, like I said before, we have the thunderstorm threat for tonight. So, Jeff or Rich, if y'all want to take that over, we can get started with that because we have that threat that we got to get over tonight before we start talking about tomorrow's threat.
Oh, yeah, go ahead, Jeff.
All right. Well, thank you. First of all, glad to be here with Arkansas Weather Watchers. I know it's been a very busy time over the last few days, several rounds of storms. Last night with the storms to our west and also including parts of northwest, western Arkansas with wind damage. We have another a severe threat for tonight, which, again, doesn't look widespread. And another severe threat for tomorrow evening, especially later on during the evening hours into tomorrow night. And it's a good idea to pay close attention to both of these situations. Tonight, the storms aren't really going to be that widespread, but the concern is that we have a pretty unstable atmosphere. It's been very warm today. The temperatures were upper 80s, near 90 degrees. Still very warm out there. We have a front that's pretty much stalled across central Arkansas. And I'm concerned that any storm, even if it's just one or two storms that form along that boundary tonight, could take advantage of that environment and become severe, including a tornado threat. Again, not expecting storms everywhere. Likely a couple of storms, but what we call a higher conditional threat. Now, tomorrow evening, a little bit different. The storms are going to be more widespread. More of us are going to experience the thunderstorms. And there is going to be that threat for severe weather, especially large hail, damaging wind gusts, and there is going to be a tornado threat as well. And that tornado threat pretty much covers the entire state. So anyone in Arkansas is at risk for severe weather, including a tornado risk for tomorrow evening.
Definitely. So to kind of address tonight, because we have a lot of people that are coming in, that are confused about the threats here. This is broken up into two different rounds here. So I want to make this clear. This is going to come in tonight. We've got storms moving in tonight. And then we have storms that are going to be tomorrow. Like Jeff said, tonight's threat is not going to be a severe weather or tornado outbreak. We want to make that clear. But the threat for storms is there for tonight. We're going to show you guys that coming up in the future cast here in just a little bit, pretty much in this zone. And I would say probably for my folks down there in DeQueen to Hope all the way down towards Texarkana, we're going to watch for a few more trends. I want to see what ends up happening with the radar and everything like that. This may end up getting pushed a little bit further to the south and west, but we'll keep an eye on that. That zone that we have right now, pretty much from central to east central Arkansas, this is probably going to be that zone right around where that boundary is that got left over from last night's storms. This is where we're going to have to watch. For your dew points north of that are in the 50s, and your south of that are in the 70s. So that's where going to be the initiation zone for these storms tonight. Like I mentioned before, it's not going to be an outbreak. This is not going to be, a high risk for severe weather for tonight. This is if storms get going and if they were to become what we call surface-based. If they start becoming surface-based, then an all-hazards mode will be possible. Large hail, damaging winds, and there could be the potential of an isolated brief spin-up along with these storms as we move into tonight here. Okay, so let's talk about tomorrow here. Now, I want to make this crystal clear because there's a lot of people that are coming in that are asking questions right now. This is tomorrow's threat. There's two different threats tonight. There's one tonight. It's a conditional, what we call a conditional marginal threat. It's not going to be a widespread, significant threat tonight. Yes, there are going to be storms, potentially, and some of them could be strong/severe, but it's not going to be an outbreak. I want to make that perfectly clear to everybody right now. Tomorrow, like Jeff mentioned before, this is going to be more of a widespread deal where everybody has the potential of seeing some strong to severe thunderstorms. Some of them could be intense. We talked about this a little bit earlier, Jeff and Rich. We're really concerned about that damaging wind threat versus that tornado threat for tomorrow. Now, we want to make this clear. This is not going to be a situation where there's no tornado threat. The tornado threat is there, and it's present for pretty much the entire state. But I'm really concerned about the damaging wind threat. And Jeff, if you want to explain a little bit more about that for our viewers at this time. And we'll get to questions once we get past this information, by the way.
Tomorrow, the storms are going to fire up along an approaching front. And typically when you see that happen, they're going to turn into more of a linear nature pretty quickly. So that indicates more of a wind threat. However, that does not exclude a tornado threat because there's a couple of things that can happen. First of all, along a line of storms, especially as they're developing, you can get a spin up, and those spin ups can happen very quickly and put down a tornado. The other issue is that if the storms fire up a little earlier in the evening, we still have a little bit more heating, then it's more possible that you could wind up with a couple of individual or discrete cells out ahead of that developing line. And since they're going to be in an environment where you're going to have that wind shear, that turning of winds with height, both the turning of direction and the change of speed with height, that is going to create an environment where those storms can rotate, especially if they're isolated and by themselves, or they have their own environment and not interacting so much with the other storms around them. That makes them more likely to take advantage of that environment. So there is a tornado risk that's going to be there. The wind risk looks like it's going to be fairly widespread along that line. So that storm, as the storms fire up in northwest Arkansas and start to accelerate south and east across the state, that's going to put much of Arkansas at risk for some of those strong damaging wind gusts of 60 to possibly 70 miles per hour. One thing to really be aware of with these wind gusts is that we've had a lot of rain in some areas over the last few days. We've had a fairly wet period. The soil is saturated. When you combine in strong wind gusts and saturated soil, you increase the chance of having large trees get uprooted. Those large trees, they can fall on power lines, they can fall on houses, they can fall on roofs. So you can still wind up with considerable damage from strong wind gusts that are not related to a tornado. So really important not to minimize the wind threat with these storms. Just because it's not a tornado doesn't mean you can't have significant damage.
So there's a lot of people that are tuning in late. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go back in the graphic for just a little bit. So this is why we have 5 minutes before we go live to have y'all come in, and we have those that are kind of come in for 5 minutes before we get started with everything. So I want to make this clear. This is for tonight. Tonight is a level 1 risk for the potential of seeing isolated spin-ups, the potential of damaging winds, and hail. I want to make this crystal clear for everybody to understand right now. This is going to be an isolated event. This is not going to be a widespread tornado or severe weather outbreak for tonight. This is what we call a conditional threat for the potential of seeing severe weather for tonight. I want to make this clear. So yes, we do have severe storms for tonight, but it is a level 1 severe risk across this area. Let me keep that in mind. This is for tomorrow. This is a tomorrow risk. So there's 2 different risks right now. There's one that's going to come in later on this evening into the night, and then there's going to be another one that's going to be coming in as we move into tomorrow afternoon and into tomorrow evening. So I want to make that clear. A lot of people are coming in. They're coming in late and stuff like that. That's fine. I want to make this clear. There's 2 different threats. One tonight, conditional threat, potential of mainly hail and wind, maybe that isolated brief spin up for tonight, just depends on what's up happening. And then tomorrow is going to be much of a bigger threat across the area. Make sure that you're paying attention to the graphics, make sure you're not skimming, make sure that you have the way of making sure you know where your cities are and your counties. I want to make that clear, okay? So this is what we have. There's 2 different risks for tonight. One that's going to come in tonight, and then there's going to be another one that's going to come in as we get towards tomorrow. So I want to make that clear for those that are coming in late, because they see this immediately and they're wondering what's going to be happening tonight. So there's a threat tonight, level 1, conditional, And then for tomorrow's threat is going to be the biggest threat across the area here. Okay, so let's break this down. I want to talk about the timing. Now, this is timing for tomorrow's threat. Obviously, we have one for tonight. Like I said before, it's conditional. What we mean by conditional, the definition of that is that it is going to be isolated in nature. Not every single person in that risk is going to see severe weather for tonight. Thunderstorms are going to develop with the boundary that's moving north, with a disturbance that's coming in, but that doesn't mean every single person in that risk is going to see widespread, significant, severe weather. It's for the potential of hail, damaging winds, and the potential of an isolated spin up along that corridor for tonight. But this is for tomorrow. So this is broken up into different zones. So you've got to know your cities, you got to know your counties. This is the only time I'm going to tell you guys this, because tomorrow when we have these warnings that pop up, we're not going to be able to answer these city and county questions. If you need that information, it is a quick Google search, and I promise you it's going to tell you the information. That's going to be the bottom line for tomorrow. You've got to know where you are, where the timing's going to be, and make sure that you're weather aware. Like Jeff mentioned before, don't focus solely on the tornado threat. I know it's a level 3. I know it's a level 3 enhanced risk, and everyone jumps straight to the tornado threat. But you got to focus on the wind threat. Like Jeff mentioned before, we have the wet ground. We've had a lot of heavy rainfall over the last couple of days. That's going to lead to trees coming down. We saw that last night in western Arkansas towards Fort Smith, the Washington County area, those areas over there in western Arkansas. We've had a lot of reports of damaging wind. Let me get my wording right. Wind damage. We've had wind damage out there from last night here. So I want to make that clear. Don't just focus straight on the tornado threat tomorrow. You got to focus on the very large hail threat, which we're going to go over coming up in just a little bit. And we're also going to focus on the damaging wind threat as well. The tornado threat is there with any storms that get isolated away from the line. But I don't want anyone letting their guard down to the damaging wind threat. We saw this last night. We know how the damaging wind threat could be, especially with an environment that we have in place as we get towards tomorrow. So let's break this down, the timing at this point. Northwestern Arkansas, we're going to get the ball game started at 4 p.m. tomorrow. Storms are going to initiate up there. Main threat is going to be for the potential of damaging winds, hail, and you're going to have that initial tornado threat up there for tomorrow. Then this is going to move into West Central into North Central Arkansas. This is going to be from 6 p.m. to 10 o'clock. And yes, I've seen some computer model data that have shown 2 lines. Right now, we're not going to focus on data too much because data has not been the best friend for us for tomorrow's event. So we're just kind of going off when the disturbance is going to come in, when the front's going to come in, and put a timing on what we're looking at for the storms to initiate here. So just kind of keep that in mind. The 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. zone, that's going to be from DeQueen, Mena, over towards Mount Ida, Hot Springs, Conway, Russellville, Clinton, over towards Mount View, Batesville, Walnut Ridge, and Mount Home area, and Jasper. This is a time now to figure out where you live, counties, and everything like that, and go over your severe weather plans. Do not, and I want to make this clear, do not wait until warnings get started to go over your severe weather plans. It's going to make you panic. It's going to trigger all that anxiety if you do it when the warning starts. This is the time right now, with it being quiet, with it being Tuesday evening, quiet, before the storms even get started, to go over that with your family. It's 7 o'clock. You've got dinner. You've got your family there. Majority of everybody's in the household right now. Talk about tomorrow. Get them that plan right now instead of waiting until the warning gets started and then trying to figure out everything right there. So I want to make this clear because like I said before, a lot of people that are coming in, we have gone over tonight's threat. You can always rewind the live stream. There's a button at the bottom of the live stream that you can go back and watch the video. Also, we have a timing map on the page. If one of my guys can get a link to that on the comments, that would be great because we have that on the page. We posted that before the live stream even got started. So I want to make this clear. There's 2 different threats. You've got to pay attention. One for tonight, it's a conditional threat. It's not going to be widespread. And then this is for tomorrow. So we've posted that well before the live stream got started. If you need that information, someone in the comments is going to get that. You can go check it out on our Facebook. It's going to give you the timing for tonight. But this is for tomorrow, okay? So, like I said before, 6 p.m. till 10 from DeQueen all the way up to the Walnut Ridge area. And then we go further to the south and east, from Texarkana to the Metro, over towards Stuttgart, DeWitt, over towards the West Memphis area. That's going to be that 8 p.m. to midnight time frame. That's what's going to happen at this point. We're going to watch that zone 3 closely as we move into the night and into tomorrow. And then as we get into tomorrow night and into the overnight hours, Wednesday night into Thursday morning, we'll watch the further southeast corner. And then we should end this by the time we get into the overnight hours, Wednesday night and into Thursday. And that should put it into the severe weather threat. And then it's going to be an awesome weekend with drier and cooler air moving into the state as we move into the upcoming weekend here. So I just want to make that clear. Like I said before, we've gone over this a ton of times. Let's go back for just a minute so we can kind of clear up the confusion. This is for tonight. This is for tonight. Someone's got a link in the comments right here. Make sure if you see this comment, you go to it. That link is going to take you to this graphic. This is for tonight. This is not going to be a widespread, significant, severe weather event tonight. This is going to be a conditional threat for storms to develop. Large hail, damaging winds, isolated tornado or two could be possible, especially if storms get what we call surface space tonight. So there's going to be storms tonight with the boundary that's lifting north. And then, let's go back here. This is the threat for tomorrow. This is tomorrow's threat that's going to be coming in as we get into tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening and into tomorrow night. So this is broken down bit by bit. Zone 1, Zone 2, Zone 3, and then Zone 4. If you need that, like I said before, go to this link that is in the comments. That's going to pull up the information for tonight. You've got to know where you live, Arkansas. You have to. It is not on our end. It is a safety thing. You have to know where you live, especially with severe weather coming in tomorrow, with it being more of a widespread situation. Like I said before, do not focus on just the tornado threat. You're going to have the damaging wind threat. You're going to have the hail threat. And the hail threat is going to be rather significant as we get into tomorrow. So you've got to know where you live. Tomorrow, when the warnings start, we're not going to be pulling up every single city and county. We're not going to be doing that unless you're under a warning. Take the time tonight. It is quiet. There's not much going on outside of the storm threat tonight. Take the time tonight to go over it with your family and friends here. We're stressing that because it's going to help you out. I guarantee you, if you talk about it tonight, it is going to make a world of difference for tomorrow here, okay? So let's talk about the tornado threat. And Wrench, you haven't had a chance to have any comments. I'm gonna let you take this one for the tornado threat for tomorrow.
Yeah, tornado threat for tomorrow. There's been some comments I noticed in both YouTube and Facebook. We did mention the other day the potential for that moderate to possibly set up there in northeast Arkansas. We're seeing that potential dwindle away.
There you go. Yeah.
Yes, tongue-tied. But yeah, we're seeing that kind of not becoming a reality. We do have a slight hatched part just north of Walnut Ridge, and hatched meaning EF2 plus tornadoes possible. But this is the major significant tornado threat is really more north of us, and we're not looking at too much of a potential for a tornado outbreak per se.
Yeah.
Really, it's going to really possibly depend a lot on your QLCS coming through Arkansas, and you get those potential spin ups as it kind of moves through. And so we talked about this earlier. We talked about the potential though of rogue cells popping up ahead of your QLCS line.
Yeah.
Those are kind of the things that we're going to be watching out for during Nowcast, watching for these to potentially pop up for the line. And those would be considered more concerning than the actual QLCS spin-ups. But I don't know if you want to take that away, kind of explain the potential for that.
I was gonna say, Jeff, if you wanna do that, you can.
Oh, for the hail potential for tomorrow?
Yeah.
The QLC or the rogue cells that would pop up ahead of the line. What kind of threat those would kind of pose if they popped up ahead of the line?
Two main concerns. One would be very large hail, especially the storms that initially develop as the front starts moving into Arkansas. We have a lot of instability. You can get some really, really strong updrafts as those storms go up, and you can wind up with some fairly large hail cores. A lot of times most of the time, I would say, in Arkansas, when you have hail with the storm, usually they're quarter-size hailstones or less, which aren't really going to do all that much. You look out there and then they melt. But when you start thinking about 2 and 2.5 inch size hail, golf ball size hail, that can do some damage. That can put dents in your car. That can crack a windshield. That can damage your roof. So, and I know for some of those things, there's really not that much you can do about it. But it is good to be aware of the threat for large hail. If you have the opportunity, maybe instead of parking your car in a driveway, if you get in your garage, I mean that's always a good option if it's available for you. The other concern, of course, with any individual cells is a tornado threat, and we will have the conditions in place for storms to rotate tomorrow. And whenever you have that type of environment, whenever you have that combination of wind shear and stability, there is going to be a tornado threat. This isn't like the tornado threat for yesterday in the plains over Oklahoma, but there is still going to be a tornado threat associated with these storms. What's going to be a limiting factor for those the tornado threat is going to be how quickly the storms transition from cells to more of a line of storms. And when the storms transition into more of a line, wind damage becomes the predominant threat. And that wind threat does look fairly widespread for tomorrow.
Definitely. So what we're going to do is I want you to, there's the damaging wind threat for tomorrow. So the reason why we have that level 3, there's a lot of people that are coming in that are asking, about the level 3 and stuff like that. I want you guys to not prioritize on the tornado threat tomorrow, because this is going to be severe weather is more than tornadoes. Let's just make this clear. It's more than tornadoes. I know a lot of people freak out when you hear the tornado word, but severe weather is not just the tornado threat. It's a damaging wind, it's a hail, it's the lightning, it's the flooding, it's all of that can pose a threat to life and property. So you're going to have the modes tomorrow where you have severe thunderstorm warnings that are going to be just for damaging winds and hail, that are not going to have that solid tornado threat. I want to make this clear. This is not going to be like Jeff just mentioned. This is not going to be like what happened out there in Oklahoma and Kansas and Nebraska and Iowa, where you had this major tornado threat. But the tornado threat is there. But I want you guys to also keep in mind that this is going to be a damaging wind threat and a significant hail threat that we'll have to monitor as we move into tomorrow. So much of the zone across the area is in that level 3 for the potential of seeing damaging winds for tomorrow. Also, there's a lot of people that are confused about, the other sources saying, not any rainfall coming in and stuff like that. I've said this a million times, folks. Those weather apps are not worth it. They're not, because of the fact they're going to they're going to tell you 0% right now until a storm literally pops over your certain area, and it's going to go from 0 to 100. That's just what's going to happen with those weather apps. So if you're confused about that, I understand. But folks, we have a meteorologist on staff. We tell you guys this situation because we sit here and we analyze radar, the surface ops, the data. We tell you guys what we see. This is not something that we just, throw out there for likes and shares and comments. We tell you guys this because this is something that we sit here for countless hours going over and looking at everything here, okay? So severe weather is more than just tornadoes, guys. This is going to be a situation for tomorrow. You've got to broaden your spectrum when you're talking about severe weather. It's not just tornadoes. It's damaging wind like we saw last night in Western Arkansas, and the significant hail threat. Speaking of the hail threat, let's talk about that real quickly. It is hatched for the potential of seeing 2-inch in diameter hail or greater across much of north central, and down into southwestern Arkansas as we move into tomorrow. This is probably going to be priority number 1 with the very large hail threat for tomorrow. And then you have the damaging wind threat being priority number 2. And then you're going to have that tornado threat. That's going to be priority number 3. One thing that I will say this is that for tonight's threat, all 3 of us talked about this. Those storms that are going to develop, we're going to have to monitor a boundary that's going to set up with those storms, and wherever that boundary ends up tomorrow, we'll have to watch that, for thunderstorm development ahead of the front. So this is what we have at this time. Like I said before, the hail threat right now, priority number 1, the damaging wind threat, priority number 2, and then also the tornado threat is going to be priority number 3. You got to broaden your spectrum when you talk about severe weather. all modes of severe weather is possible as we move into tomorrow. So let's talk about this comment real quickly here, and I'm gonna put my input into it, and then Rich and Jeff, I'm gonna have you guys put your input into it as well. What is the chance of this busting with it being 24 hours out? My input would be is a couple of things is, the cloud cover that could be lingering around, the capping inversion lasting longer than expected. There's a lot of things that could come together tomorrow for this to end up busting. So we'll have to keep that in mind. Jeff or Rich, you guys can and put your input on that as well.
Jeff brought up a really good point before we talked. So yeah, Jeff, definitely bring up that point about tonight.
So a couple of things. First of all, there are going to be some storms around tonight. If they become a bit more widespread, they could certainly leave some residual boundaries around, and that could change how things work out for tomorrow. And it could do so in a couple of ways. One way that it means a stronger cap for tomorrow, in which what that means is that pretty much you have a lid on the atmosphere where you have cooler air sitting on top of you have some warm air sitting on top of some cooler air, and that does not allow the air to rise. So what winds up happening is, that you start to get those updrafts. It hits that lid, and that's it. Maybe a shower tries to form, and then they just fizzle out. So if you wind up with what we call a strong cap, it makes it more difficult for those storms to develop. And if the cap is too strong tomorrow, those storms that develop along that line will struggle to survive. It doesn't mean it's not going to happen at all, but they may struggle a bit, and that would significantly reduce the severe threat. If you're hoping to avoid the severe weather, that's pretty much your best case scenario. If you want to see severe weather, it's your worst case. But that scenario is certainly in play. Do I think that's likely? No, I don't think that's likely, but I do think that it is at least possible that the cap is too strong and it makes it very difficult for those storms to develop. But I do think there's going to be enough forcing to overcome, even if that cap stays fairly strong. You're going to have enough forcing with that front. There's going to be enough upper energy, enough general lift associated with the atmosphere to break that cap and to get some of those storms going. Again, definitely. That's the most likely scenario, but it is not a guarantee.
Yeah, and like I mentioned before, that's one of the reasons why SPC, because a lot of people are coming in. You have that level 3. Your brain just kind of goes to, is it going to go level 4? I think that's precluding one of the many reasons why it's precluding the level 4 from being issued here in Arkansas, because we have storms tonight that could lead to cap being too strong, and also like you mentioned before with the tornado threat, the forcing looks to be a little bit stronger to the north and east of Arkansas up there in the Ohio Valley. So I want to make this clear: you don't wait for it to go level 4, folks. Don't wait for it to get a bigger, higher risk than it is right now. It's a level 2, it's a level 3. That's just enough. That's enough. You have a threat for severe weather for pretty much the entire state of Arkansas. Don't wait for it to get upgraded. You got to take it seriously. Like I said, tonight, I want y'all to talk about severe weather plans with your family and friends. A lot of people love waiting until that last possible second for the warnings to come out and then do it. Don't be that way, guys. I promise you, it will make your anxiety go through the roof if you wait to the last possible second. Do it tonight. Do it tonight. There's no reason for you not to do it tonight, because it's going to impact all 75 counties. You have everybody pretty much outside of southeastern Arkansas within the same risk area for the potential of seeing damaging winds, large hail, and that tornado threat for tomorrow. Take care of it tonight. Don't wait to that last possible second, because it's going to make your anxiety go through the roof. Do it tonight. Get it over with. Talk with your family and friends, and then go from there. Okay? So this is for tonight. Okay, I'm making this clear because a lot of people are coming in that are absolutely confused about the situation. That's why I hate 2 different threats, because it confuses a lot of people. You have a risk tonight that is conditional. Like I said before, don't expect this to be a massive severe weather outbreak tonight. Just don't expect it. It's going to be storms that are going to develop with the boundary moving north. You're going to have that damaging wind, hail, possibly an isolated spin up or 2. We'll have to keep an eye on it. But then tomorrow is going to be the bigger main event for us here in Arkansas. That's what we have at this point. So there's 2 different threats. You have one tonight. That's going to be coming up here in the next couple of hours. I'm going to show you that Futurecast coming up here in a little bit. And then you have the threat for tomorrow. That's going to be impacting pretty much all 75 counties here in Arkansas for that threat for seeing severe weather. And I'm going to tell you guys this too. If you don't see severe weather tomorrow, please consider it a blessing. I mean, Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, they have had severe weather left and right, damage everywhere, lives changed. I promise you guys, if y'all don't see severe weather tomorrow, it is not the end of the world. It's not. Consider it a blessing if you don't see severe weather for tomorrow here, okay? So what I'm going to do for just a little bit, I'm going to talk about tonight. And this is the current radar. That's not much going on. But basically, I'm going to pull up, before I pull up FutureCast, I'm going to show you guys what Jeff is talking about here. So your dew points, let me pull your dew points up real quickly here. This is going to be your dew points. So you can see with the purple color down here, southern and southeastern Arkansas, you got a dew point of 77 right now in Camden. That is crazy. So dew point is 77 down here. This is where your moisture is. And then you have dew points up here in the 50s, in the 60s. So your boundary is setting up somewhere right in here. And this is where you're going to have the potential of seeing severe weather right in here as we get towards night. Now, like I said before, it is a conditional threat. It is for the potential of some isolated cells that may get going. It's not going to be a tornado outbreak or a significant severe weather outbreak at this time. And Jonathan, I love this comment. I do agree. It gives a lot of people PTSD. I understand because of what happened last year. But like I said, if you don't see it tomorrow, no need to get upset about it, guys. There's no need because like I said, back out west, they have had a lot of severe weather. I promise you, if you ask somebody that lives in Oklahoma, I'm pretty sure they'd take a bus right now overseeing severe weather left and right. So let's talk about tonight. I'm going to load up a FutureCast, and what I'm going to do while I load up the FutureCast, I'm going to have the storm field kind of interact with this as well. So you have to give it a second. It's going to be coming up, and you can see the storms that erupt with this boundary, as we move into tonight. So give it just a second. Let me go ahead and I'm going to clear this, and we're going to go back over to reflectivity. And we're going to go over to the storm field real quick. Okay, so there we go. So you got to give it a second or two. It's going to load up. And it's going to show you guys kind of the evolution of what's going to be happening as we move into tonight here. Okay, so it just finished. Let's go hour by hour so you guys can pay attention. So those that need the timing for tonight, this is the time to pay attention. Like I said before about those weather apps, it's going to show 0%. That's how it's going to be. It's going to show 0%. Even our app is going to show it until the storms develop right over your head because it's model data. That's just how it is. This is an isolated event. This is not going to be impacting every single person in all 75 counties. It's just not. It's not going to happen for tonight. But you're going to have that potential at this time here. Okay, so let's take this out. All right. Right now, pretty calm. This is around 9 o'clock this evening. A few cells may try to get going down here near the Little Rock area, the Malvern area. We'll have to watch this close. And then let's take this out a little bit further. You can see about 11 o'clock. A few cells may try to get going along I-30. This is where that boundary is setting up. You've got a good amount of instability in place for these storms to work with. But the question is, are they going to go what we call surface-based? Basically, are they going to be able to fully connect in the atmosphere to produce severe weather? A lot of this will be hail. There's a lot of large hail potential with this and a damaging wind threat. The tornado threat doesn't scream significant for tonight. Tomorrow, same thing. The damage wind, hail threats can be priority number 1, number 2, and then you have that tornado threat. We're not sleeping on the tornado threat, but you still need to kind of open your mind for the potential of all three hazards being possible for tonight and for tomorrow here. Hopefully that makes sense. So this is 2 a.m. Just taking a look at it real quick. As you can see, storms down here near I-30, near the Malvern area. Keep in mind, this is simulated radar. So this is going to change a lot between now and 2 o'clock in the morning, but it gives you an idea. Like I said before, much of this will probably be large hail, damaging winds. I will say this is going to hurt your tornado threat because all these storms are going up at once, and they're kind of interacting with each other. If you want a solid tornado threat, you want these storms to be kind of separated from each other. You don't want them to be all bunched up all in one because that's going to lower the tornado threat. It's going to make these storms go what we call outflow dominant, and you're going to have the wind and the hail threat. So let's take this out a little bit further. There's 3 o'clock in the morning. Like I said before, something that we'll watch. A couple of cells down here along I-30, just south of the metro. Main threat, not going to be a significant severe weather outbreak or a tornado outbreak for tonight. Let's take this out all the way through. By 6 a.m. sharp, we're done. We're done with the threat, and this is all over with at this point. So just keep in mind for tonight, let's rewind it. So if you need timing or you need to look at what the radar is going to potentially look at for tonight, this is the time to pay attention right now. Okay, so this is 9 o'clock. A few cells may try to get going along I-30, just south of the interstate over here towards eastern Arkansas. We'll have to keep an eye on that. And you can see, as we progress within time, we get towards midnight, some of these cells will start to get going. Like I said before, this is not going to be a widespread, significant, severe weather event for tonight. Don't expect it. Don't expect this to be, a March 31st 2.0 or a monster tornado outbreak or anything like that. This is not going to be like that. This is going to be what we call a level 1, conditional, isolated, strong thunderstorms. One of the two of them may try to go severe, and then that's going to be it. But I wanted to talk about tonight. Nathan, I'm going to get to that here in just a little bit. We have a lot of people that are confused right now because you're talking about tomorrow and you're talking about tonight at the exact same time. We have a lot of people that are confused right now. So I've got to go over tonight first before I jump into tomorrow, because this is more of an urgent threat versus tomorrow's threat here, because this is happening first before tomorrow. So this is at midnight tonight, like I said before, along I-30. We'll keep an eye on this. Main threat tonight, I said before, is going to be potential large hail, damaging winds, possibly an isolated tornado or two, but this is just not going to be a widespread, significant, severe weather deal, because I wanted to talk about tonight before we get into tomorrow. But let's take a look at this. This is 11 a.m. tomorrow. All right. Biggest deal for tomorrow is there's a lot of fuel in place. Let's take a look up here in northwestern Arkansas. You can see around 11 o'clock tomorrow morning, there's your thunderstorm development. This is going to start up here about 4 o'clock, and it's going to make its way down and into the area here. Okay, so like I said before, it's this tonight's threat that's going to come in, and you're going to have a threat tomorrow. I don't know how to make it clear to you guys. I absolutely have no idea. You have a threat tonight that's going to come in, and then you have a threat tomorrow. There's two different threats here. I don't know how to make it any clearer than what it is right now. You have a threat tomorrow, and then you have a threat tonight. That's the biggest thing right now here. Jeff or Rich, do y'all have any input that you want to put in? I'm going to go back over to the timing map for tonight, and then we'll go back over to tomorrow.
All right, two things. One, and this is regarding tonight. I was just looking out the window, and I see those cumulus clouds really starting to build up, starting to see some vertical development. So I do think that within about the next hour or so, we are going to begin to see some very isolated storms over central Arkansas begin to develop. The storm threat tonight is very limited in extent. It looks like it's the best chance of getting one of those isolated storms is mainly going to be almost right along that I-30 corridor and maybe just a little south of the I-30 corridor. So really it looks fairly limited as far as the area at risk for storms tonight. So I think those of you, say in northern Arkansas, from say north of Searcy, Batesville, Jasper, Fort Smith, I really don't think you're going to see much tonight. Those of you in southern Arkansas, Monticello, Camden, I don't think you're going to see much of anything tonight. For the Little Rock area, Hot Springs, Cabot, Searcy, Sheridan, Arkadelphia, there definitely could be a storm or two, and there is a risk for that storm to become severe. For tomorrow night, we're looking at a more widespread risk. So tomorrow night, no matter where you are in the state, you're at risk for severe weather. As far as the hazards for tomorrow, pretty much all hazards possible with large hail, strong wind gusts, and also some tornado threat. We're not talking about a big high-end tornado threat, but a tornado threat nonetheless. So tomorrow, and the timing for tomorrow is really going to be during the evening hours, mainly after 7 p.m. tomorrow. So much of the day tomorrow is going to be dry. So, we'll get to 4 or 5 o'clock and you might think nothing's going on. Are we busting? No, it doesn't mean anything because nothing is really expected to happen during the day tomorrow. The time frames that we're looking at for tonight, mainly between about 9 p.m. and 3 a.m. That's for tonight. Tomorrow night, is between about 7 p.m. going into the early morning hours of Thursday, likely until about, we'll call it 6 a.m. into Thursday morning, the tail end of that risk. Not going to storm the entire time, but that time of risk for severe weather, mainly between about 7 p.m. tomorrow to about 6 a.m. on Thursday. So those are your two time periods that you need to watch.
Yeah, and I want to, like I said before, because I see the comments right now, and I understand, when you have storm anxiety, it just makes your brain go into overdrive. And I want to make this crystal clear for someone that does deal with anxiety. There's two different threats tonight, guys. All three of us here, the entire team, we don't know how to make it clear to everybody here. There's two different threats here. There's one tonight that's conditional, like Jeff just mentioned before. It's a limited threat. Is tonight going to be a tornado outbreak? No. Is every single person in the 75 county range in Arkansas going to see severe weather for tonight? No. Is this going to be a March 31st 2.0 tonight? No. But this is going to be a situation where you have storms go up tonight. They're going to sound loud. They're going to sound like, you have, ongoing widespread severe weather, but it's not going to be the case. I want to make that clear, okay? So this is for tonight. And then you have a threat tomorrow that's going to impact a much widespread area at this point, okay? So I want to make this crystal clear. I don't know how much clearer we can make this for everybody to understand. I wish I could pull up two timing maps on here so you guys can see it side by side, but we can't do that. You have a threat tonight, and you have a threat tomorrow. Make sure that you're paying attention to the page, you're paying attention to the post. We have a threat for tonight. It's more of a conditional level 1. And then you have a threat tomorrow, which tomorrow is the biggest threat of them all versus tonight's threat. So tonight, if you see storms, like I said before, it's not going to be a big deal tonight. It is going to be tomorrow. Tomorrow is where the biggest threat is going to be, and we put it into this. I don't know about the two of y'all. I'm tired of talking about severe weather. Like, it needs to be quiet. It needs to be absolutely quiet. For this. I just want to make that clear because there's a lot of people, I'm seeing the comments right now on both Facebook and YouTube, and there's just a lot of confusion right now, and it's starting to worry me. It's absolutely starting to worry me that how many people that are confused, that don't know where to live, they don't know where the counties are. It's a situation that you've got to know where you are, guys. You have to. It is not on our end. It is not a personal thing. It is a matter of safety, because if you don't know where you live, you don't know where you're at, and a warning gets issued, you're not going to take shelter. I mean, you're just not. I mean, that's just for anybody. If you don't know where you are, let's say, for example, I go to Texas. I don't know all the counties in Texas, just to be honest with you. And there's a warning get issued. I'm not going to know where that warning is. And if I don't know where it is, I'm not going to take shelter, right? So you got to know where you live, guys. It's not a personal spite. Don't take it offensively or anything like that. This is not the page attacking you for not knowing where you live. This is us making sure that you know where you are in case there's warnings, in case there's watches, in case we have to talk about severe weather. So I want to make that clear. This is not us attacking anybody on the page. I want to make that perfectly clear to everybody. But you have to know where you live. You guys have got to match us halfway. If you know your city, you know your county, you know severe weather, you know your severe weather plan, I promise you guys, tomorrow it's going to be a cruise control. You're going to be fine. But we have all that information on the page. You've got to pay attention to the page. We have it every single time we post severe weather. It's going to be in the comments. Every single time. You've got to know where you live, guys. It is a 100% must that you know where you live. That's just how it is when you deal with severe weather here in Arkansas. Every spring, it's the same way. You got to know where you live. Matter of fact, I'm going to do this. While we have this up, I'm going to go back to it. I had this same map. This is perfect. So what you guys want to do right now, I want you guys to screenshot this, okay? It's a quick Google search. All you got to do is search up where my county is, and it's going to pinpoint it, and you're going to be right there. You got to know where you live, guys, okay? It's like I said, this is not us attacking anybody. I wish people would stop thinking that we're attacking y'all. We're not. We're telling you guys this because it's a matter of safety. Because if you don't know where you live, you don't take shelter, that's life-threatening. That's life-threatening, guys. That's concerning myself. That's concerning all of our team that you don't know where you live. It's concerning because if a warning gets issued, you're not going to seek shelter. So you got to know where you live, guys. Take it, take a screenshot right now. Go over that with your family. Go over the safe plans with your family. If you got to take a tour of your house on where to go when there's a tornado warning, do it. Do it tonight. I know we have a threat tonight, but the bigger threat's going to be tomorrow. So you got to know where you live. That's just how it is, guys. Like I said, there's no personal attack. It's nobody getting on you or anything like that. It's just us concerned. Because if you don't know where you live, it's a life-threatening situation. That's just how it is. That's how it is when you deal with severe weather here in Arkansas. So take the time now. You got to know where you live. This is what we got, okay? So this is the timing, not the timing zone, the county map right now. What you got for me, Rich? You about to say something?
Yeah, no, yeah, I do want to kind of. I wonder if you can go ahead and do one more timing of tonight, and then
Yeah, I can.
do you have the timing map of tomorrow at all, or
I do.
yeah?
I can
Okay.
go back over to it. So what do you want to look at tonight
Maybe
first?
keep that fresh in people's minds that
Okay.
the timing of tonight. This is round one tonight, and this is we kind of broadened it out. It's a little bit different than what Jeff had mentioned, 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. But the significant stuff probably would happen a little in between that. And then that's like we said, that's going to be from Arkadelphia all the way to West Memphis, and so that's not going to be statewide. That's a middle sliver part of Arkansas for tonight. And then if we can just kind of go over the timing one more time for tomorrow.
Make it
Round
back over.
two. Round two is tomorrow.
I gotta go back over to it. There it is. So that's gonna be round 2. You can go ahead.
Yeah. So we're expecting the potential to start around in zone 1 between 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. And as it breaks down and starts going through the state, zone 2 could probably start expecting some things around 6 p.m. To 10 p.m. Now around that time zone, around that time frame,
I love that comment. I love this comment that just pulled. Go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I love that comment.
Yeah. And then as we mentioned earlier, the potential for rogue cells to pop up ahead of that line, that is around that time zone that potential could happen around the 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. But we'll keep a close eye on it. That'll be more of a nowcast thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys definitely should be watching us. We'll have our live stream up all day tomorrow. We'll pop in and out, do commentary anytime there's a severe threat, when we get catastrophic or significant tags. We'll jump in, we'll talk to you guys. And then zone 3, you're coming in at 8 p.m. to 12 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
and that'll cover larger part of Arkansas through central. And then zone 4 is your 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. And hopefully by that time, all that severe threat may be out, but there is the potential for lingering onward. Because obviously, our timings always change based on if the storm slows down or speeds up.
Yeah. So for folks, like I said, we have 2 different threats for tonight. You have the potential storms tonight, and then you have the potential storms for tomorrow. I've already shown the one for tonight, and what I'm going to do afterwards, I am going to post. I'll give you guys a future cast for tomorrow and tonight, and that's going to be available on our YouTube. I want you guys to be 100%. I want to be 100% clear about this. Radar is going to change on you. That's how it is. Severe weather is never a 100% guarantee that it's going to happen. This is not a catastrophic situation where every single town in 75 county range is just going to be wiped out tomorrow. It's not. But I want you guys to be at least ready for severe weather. If it doesn't happen, that's gravy. If it does happen, we want you guys to be ready. So you have to know what I'm going to do is, like I said, this information is going to be on the page, so you're not missing anything. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back over to this county map because I want to leave this up because I'm concerned. I'm going to be honest with you guys. Just from a personal standpoint, I'm very concerned. All the comments that I've seen about, people that don't know where their counties are, they don't know cities. I understand you've moved here, you recently, you don't know it. I'm concerned, especially when you're dealing with severe weather. Regardless of the risk, tomorrow, you got to know where you live. That's just how it is. It makes our lives easier. It makes the moderators' lives easier. We're able to kind of give you a better spectrum of where to expect it. But I'm honestly very concerned. It's really concerning me on a personal level on how many people that don't know where their counties are or don't know the surrounding counties. This is why we tell you guys so much about it. You have to learn it because it helps you out. That one comment, Natalie, so we have pulled it up. The reason why she learned it is because of the tornado threat. If you learn every single county in Arkansas, it's going to be perfect. If you guys can, this is an optional deal. You can get weather radios. If you get them programmed, every time there's a warning for the county, it goes off. And those suckers are loud. So you can get a weather radio. You know, we have our mobile app that gives you the alerts set up for that county. But I just want to make this clear because it's concerning. All the comments I've seen so far, it's concerning me to a personal level now that people don't know. So you got to know it. Don't be warning bias. Every severe warning is possible, guys. Okay, so I want y'all to be careful tomorrow. If you have any questions, this is the time now to do it. This is the time right now. Don't wait till the warnings start. Don't wait till we start getting damage reports and stuff confirmed before you take action. This is the time right now. With it being quiet, I'm going to use quiet very loosely here. With it being quiet, this is the time right now for you guys to learn on what's going on here. Okay, so yeah, those things, yeah, those suckers are loud. Those weather radios are very, very loud. Unless you're a deep sleeper, you're not going to miss it. I promise you. So that's the deal. A lot of people I said for, I get it from March 31st. I get the PTSD. No one should ever shame you for having PTSD. No one should ever shame you for having anxiety. Coming from a guy that deals with anxiety, no one should ever shame you for having that. It's understandable. Also, it's understandable because you guys have heard of what's going on out west. You know, Oklahoma, Kansas. You know, we just got through dealing with a high risk yesterday. You know, Nebraska, Iowa. Those areas have had multiple repeated rounds of, you know, strong tornadoes, and that's what you normally see when you get on Facebook. You know, your news feed is just filled with tornado damage. It's filled with, you know, this catastrophic wording and all that. That's going to trigger your anxiety, and then when it starts getting closer to home, it's going to affect you. That's natural, guys. That's human nature. So this is why we tell you guys so much. It's not from our end. It's a safety thing. You got to know where you live, guys. You have to. If you don't, it's a quick Google search, and it's going to take care of it. But that's the thing that I want to stress to you guys right now here. A lot of people are worried about what's going on. I guarantee you, it's not a 100% cure for storm anxiety, but it's going to get you. It's going to get you to a great path on making sure that you're ready to go if we have severe weather as we get to tonight and then also into tomorrow at this point here. Okay, so let me see here. Just going over a few comments here. I'm going to leave this up for those that want to screenshot this county map, and then we'll kind of go back and forth with the timing, and then we will put an end to this Q&A thread. And we'll go from there here, okay? So thank you so much for this, man. Like I said before, this is not a personal attack on anybody. We're not that immature. We're not going to do that to you guys. That's a no-no. But we are concerned. We are concerned that a lot of people don't know where they live, and you gotta know where you live when you deal with severe weather here in Arkansas, because it's so unpredictable. It is so unpredictable. You know the events we've had in the past. It is so unpredictable here. You got to be on a swivel when you're in Arkansas dealing with severe weather. So we have a State of Champions track meet tomorrow in Lake Hamilton. Could you give me a timing on when that's going to occur, and I can tell you on what's going to happen with that here. So if you can give me a timing on that, that'll be awesome. I'll pull up the Futurecast in a minute, and then I'll have it posted on YouTube. So those that need that information will have it here. So this is a really good comment. Go to Google, just search up what county, city you're in. There's a great link that I was telling you about last night, Rich, that we could probably, if I could find it, we could probably post it, and it'll tell you immediately where you live. So when we talk about severe weather, what I'm going to go back over for just a little bit is this. And this could apply for tornadoes. This also can apply for damaging winds as well. For tomorrow, if a tornado warning gets issued, or a severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible, or destructive tag, or considerable tag, here's what I want you guys to do. Okay, know where to go when you talk about tornadoes and damaging winds. You don't want to go to the top floor. It's not going to help you out. You want to get to that lowest part of your home. You want to get to a basement. If you have a storm shelter, that's great. You're gravy. But I want you guys to keep this in mind for tomorrow. Tonight, like I said before, I know it's confusing because you're dealing with two different rounds of storms, and you got to keep your head on a swivel when you're dealing with it, because you have to get ready for the night threat, and you got to get ready for tomorrow's threat. So for tonight, rest assured that it's going to be an isolated threat. I think it's mainly wind and hail, maybe an isolated tornado too. We'll have to keep an eye on it. But tonight, take a look at your surroundings tonight. That's what I want you guys to do. It's 8 o'clock. Lots of people either eating dinner or they just got through eating dinner. Take a look at your surroundings. You know, if you have a house that has a ton of windows and, you know, all of that, try to find that closet in the center part of your home that's away from all of that. You know, that has all those walls. You want to focus on that center and lowest part of your home. That's the biggest thing you want to focus on when you're dealing with either a tornado threat or you're dealing with straight line wind damage or stuff like that. You want to get away from those windows. You want to get to that center and lowest part of your home. You want to put as many walls to yourself and the outside as possible. If you have a storm shelter, we went over this weekend. You should have already cleaned it out. If you haven't, that's fine. Take the time tonight. Make sure you're good to go, and then go from there. We're going over severe weather safety stuff right now because I'm concerned. On a personal level, I'm concerned. I'm very concerned for Arkansas because a lot of people don't know where to go. They're confused. I'm worried. You guys got to know where you're at here in Arkansas. So you got to know where you're at. That's number one. And then if you know where you're at, you got to know where to go. You got to know where to go when you're dealing with severe weather. If you're traveling tomorrow, pick out the gas stations, pick out the restaurants, pick out the grocery stores. Know where to go whenever you're dealing with severe weather. That's just how it is when you deal with this in Arkansas. So you always want to get to that lowest part of your home whenever you deal with severe weather. That's just how it is. That's tornado, that's damaging winds. If you have a hail threat, you want to move your car into the garage or try to cover it to prevent damage. But if you're talking about the tornado threat and the damaging wind threat, you want to get to that lowest part here, okay? Another thing, before I go back to timing, I want to talk about this too. The difference between tornadoes and straight line wind damage. This is going to be an issue tomorrow because a lot of people are going to try to make these straight line wind damage look like it's tornadoes. The biggest deal whenever you're dealing with straight line wind damage is that it's a straight line. It's pointing all in one direction. If you have it all twisted in different directions, multiple directions, that's going to be tornadoes. I'm going to tell you this right now, the majority of our reports tomorrow, unless something significantly changes, is going to be straight line wind damage with this because you have the saturated ground and everything like that. So keep that in mind for tomorrow. That's the difference between the tornado threat and straight line winds. Both can still cause significant damage, but how do you tell the difference? Tornadoes are scattered all over the place. Damaging winds is generally, in most cases, pointed in one singular direction. So just kind of keep that in mind as we move into tomorrow here. I wanted to go over that because, like I said, you guys should be going over your severe weather plans tonight. Do not, and I know there's somebody that's still going to do this, do not wait until warnings start tomorrow, guys. It makes our moderators' lives so difficult when we have to answer county and city questions for specific areas during warnings because they have to get us the reports, and then they have to answer your question, and then they have to go and everything like that. So unless it's directly affecting you guys tomorrow, right now, like I said before, this is the time to ask because there's not much going on right now. So I'm sorry for the little rant or the little spill. I'm just concerned. I'm honestly concerned. You've got to know where you live, guys. And I love this comment from Rachel. Make sure you charge your phones too. We're gonna have a lot of power outages tomorrow. We are. When you deal with straight line wind damage, you have the amount of instability we're going to have in place. You're going to deal with that power outage stretch. So make sure you have your phones charged. Make sure if you have a generator, check on it tonight. It doesn't hurt. If you don't have severe weather tomorrow, that's great. If you do, at least you're prepared for it. So just kind of keep that in mind as we move into tomorrow here, okay? So now the biggest threat, like I said before, I'm going to go over this one last time. It's wind, hail, isolated, brief spin-up threat for tonight. It is a conditional level 1 threat for the potential of seeing all hazards. This is not going to be an outbreak tonight, folks. Don't expect it. Just don't expect an outbreak tonight. But there are going to be storms. It's going to be loud. That's just how it's going to be tonight. It's going to be one of those loud nights when you have the storms ongoing. Some areas are going to see it, like Jeff mentioned before. Some areas are going to see it while other areas won't. So keep that in mind for tonight. Northern Arkansas, Southern Arkansas. Right now, I'm not really expecting much in those two areas. It's mainly going to be in that zone, which we can go back to. This zone right in here from Hot Springs, Arkadelphia, Pine Bluff, over towards Helena, West Memphis. This is the zone right here that we're going to monitor. Like I said before, it's an all hazards possible. It's not likely for tomorrow. And then we deal with the threat as we move into tomorrow afternoon and into tomorrow evening here. So you just got to know where you live, guys, okay? And like I said before, folks, I don't want y'all feeling like y'all are done for asking questions. We just want y'all to make sure that you know where you live and you know where to go when severe weather strikes. I'm tired of talking about severe weather. I'm pretty sure you guys are tired of hearing about severe weather. But it's Arkansas. It's May in Arkansas. You guys know the situation. You know the skit here in Arkansas. It's how it is. That's the card that we're dealt with, and this is what we have. So I'm going to read this comment. So there's no way of really knowing more tonight until things really hit. That's how it's going to be. It's more of an isolated who sees it and who doesn't. It's not going to be a widespread deal tonight. It's going to be more of a pop-up. If you see severe storms, that's how it is. If you don't, that's just going to be. It's going to be more of those pop-up, isolated cells tonight on where it develops here. And that's going to get started pretty much from now all the way until the overnight hours tonight here. So, Jeff,
yeah, Cameron, I was just
I
was just looking at the some of the latest information, and it does keep trying to delay the storm formation for this evening, but it's very consistent in developing it. So it's going to happen, but it's going to be slow at first. So it's looking like about 10 o'clock now, we may really start to see those storms get going. But even given the the limited coverage of storms tonight, especially for people in central Arkansas, Little Rock, Hot Springs, Sheridan, Cabot, Searcy, I would really, I would just suggest, if you have a weather radio, keep it on. If you have your phone and you get alerts, keep your phone on. Keep that next to you while you're asleep, because I wouldn't be surprised, especially around, say, the 2-3 a.m. I'd say between 1 and 3 a.m. There's going to be a brief window for some severe storms. Again, going to be very isolated in nature. A lot of you are not going to get anything tonight, but any storm that does get developed, that does develop and is allowed to mature, will likely pose a severe threat. So just keep that in mind, that we have the first threat tonight, and then tomorrow night is the more widespread threat that most people in Arkansas are at risk at. And we will have a better idea of things, especially first thing tomorrow morning after we get through this round of storms tonight, and that really helps define what tomorrow is going to be like. Yeah, because there is some dependency there.
Definitely. So like so for tonight, because like so for there's other people saying, they're in this risk and they're not. It's more of an isolated threat for tonight. Like Jeff just mentioned, not every single person in this area is going to see severe weather. It's just some people may not even see storms tonight. It's going to be one of those pop-up, hit and miss thunderstorms that if you see it, you do. If you don't, that's just how it is. So I want to address this because a lot of people are, they saw that level 3 yesterday and they immediately jumped to the tornado threat. And we told you guys a million times that it was going to be a overall threat. It wasn't just tornadoes, it was damaging winds and hail. When you deal with severe weather, you've got to open up your spectrum for it. It's not just tornadoes, it's damaging winds and hail with it too. So we're still concerned about tomorrow. Folks, yes, there is the potential. I would say if that potential were to be there, it'd probably be far northeastern Arkansas up into the Ohio Valley if there were to be a risk upgrade. But we're still concerned about tomorrow regardless of the risk. There's still a threat for severe weather for tomorrow. You've got a cold front moving in. Nothing has changed. We're not going to prioritize, if it's a level 4, we're just going to focus on level 4 and just forget about the other risk. We're not going to do that. We're still pretty concerned about tomorrow. That's why we're hounding about knowing your counties, knowing your cities, and everything like that tomorrow. It's because we're still concerned about the threat for severe weather. Nothing has changed.
Yeah, I think it's important to really to understand that, to not get too caught up in the category level. Yeah. Because sometimes your worst of the weather doesn't necessarily happen within your worst category, and it doesn't mean that, well, if we're in a lower category, the maximum potential the storms aren't going to be as bad. It doesn't mean that. It could easily mean that the storms could be very, very bad, but they may be very scattered in nature, that the risk of seeing them in any one spot isn't that high, but if one forms, it could get bad. So I wouldn't get caught up too much in that. I really do not think, that being said, I do not think that we are going to get an upgrade tomorrow to a moderate risk or a category 4. And one of the reasons for that, I've been looking at some of the forecast soundings coming on in, or the forecast soundings for tomorrow, and you're seeing a very strong cap for tomorrow at 7 p.m. And so I think the people at the Storm Prediction Center are going to look at that. They're going to be evaluating that, and that is going to be a reason why they would not. That's something they would look at and say that's a reason to not do an upgrade.
All right. So
not. I mean, they would say, "Oh, well, storms aren't going to happen," but it would likely preclude an upgrade from Category 3 to Category 4. Moderate risks are really pretty serious.
Yeah.
I don't even like the term moderate risk, because moderate risk means very significant risk.
Yeah. So to answer your question for tonight, I love Will's comment. Understand that tornadoes can occur even, and like you just mentioned, don't focus on just the category of risk, because you can still get, the damage you win. You can still get severe weather to happen even in a level 1. I mean, you have that happen all the time when you have the severe weather occur away from where the bigger risk is going to be. It's more of a confidence thing from Storm Prediction Center. It's not a 100% certainty of where this is actually going to happen. If you live outside the zone, that's going to happen. It's not like that. It's a confidence thing on their end. So, yes, we are going to have YouTube up tonight. I want to make this clear that, folks, we only break in when there's urgent information. Radar is there for a reason, and it plays music for a reason, because it calms a lot of people down, 1. And then 2, it saves our voice, because we can't sit here and talk for 12 to 24 hours in about the same thing over and over and over and over and over. So we have music playing in the background when there's not much going on. We break in when we have storms and we have warnings and we have all that stuff to report. But yes, we are going to have that up. Rich, Jeff, what do you guys think? Have that up for tonight, just to kind of calm some nerves.
I think that's a good idea. I think some people are going to go to sleep tonight. Everything is going to be quiet. At 10, 11 o'clock, maybe there may be a couple of isolated storms out there, but where they are, nothing going on. And then all of a sudden, loud bangs of thunder at 1 a.m. So, I do think, that would be a good idea. We're going to be there as far as availability to cover the storms, because we definitely do have that threat for tonight. And we're going to be watching it pretty closely over the next couple of hours, and you might just want to check on things again maybe before you go to sleep tonight, just to see if things have changed. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be totally surprised if a tornado watch is issued for part of Arkansas a little bit later on this evening. I don't see that as being a definite, but
I think they go severe thunderstorm watch.
It's plausible that could happen. If those storms get going, a couple of storms get going, I could see the folks at the Storm Prediction Center going, hey, these storms are forming in an area where we have, some pretty good atmospheric dynamics going on here. Let's consider a watch. And so I think that's something that could easily happen for tonight.
Yeah. I'm going to address this comment. Nicole, we've gone over timing for tomorrow a million times, and it's on the page. We're going to have that on the page as soon as this live stream is over. So we've gone over it. We're talking about tonight, because this is the first thing we've got to get over it first before we address tomorrow's situation here. Jeff, I think if anything tonight, given how the limited threat, I think they may end up going severe thunderstorm watch, because when you deal with a severe thunderstorm watch, it's for hail and wind, and then you have that isolated, they can put in a tornado or two would be possible in that wording. So I think it'd probably be a severe thunderstorm watch if they do it, but I mean, it's Storm Prediction Center at the end of the day. They could easily do a tornado watch here.
That's certainly possible. That it won't. If there is a watch, it wouldn't necessarily definitely be a tornado watch.
Yeah.
Just given the profile, there is that threat, but they look at a lot of different factors, and one of those factors may be, we don't have really good surface-based instability anymore, so the primary threat would be more hail than tornado if you can't get that circulation all the way down. But again, that's just an example of the thought process that goes into how the Storm Prediction Center makes those determinations, whether it's going to be a severe thunderstorm or a tornado watch.
Definitely. So for those that are wondering, I want to pull this comment up. For those that don't remember, this is the timing for tomorrow. This is going to get posted straight on the page, so you don't have to worry about it. But this is the timing for tomorrow here. So you have 2 different threats. I said I don't know how else to make this clear for everybody. There's 2 different threats tonight. You have one that's coming in tonight. It's going to be a conditional, very limited threat. We may see if we have a watch go out. We'll tell you guys immediately. And then you have the threat for tomorrow. You have this pretty much, like I said, for more of a widespread area for tomorrow here. Damaging winds, large hail, isolated tornado threat will be there. I think, like Jeff mentioned before, I think the tornado threat is greater in the Ohio Valley. If you have family up there in the Kentucky area, over there in southeastern Missouri, I give them a heads up. Tell them that the tornado threat would be the greatest up there, but that doesn't mean Arkansas is not going to see a tornado tomorrow. That just means that we'll have to watch the line of storms, how that progresses, we'll have more information tomorrow morning. We'll give you guys an update on that here. Okay, so this is what we have. Okay, and here's the deal. If they don't listen to you about tomorrow, it's on them. I'm going to tell you guys just straightforward and being blunt. If you don't take tomorrow seriously, it's on you. We've given you the water. You gotta. We can't lead you to that water. The saying is, you can put the water out there. You can't lead a horse to the water. That's how it is. So if you don't take it seriously tomorrow, it's going to be on you. That's just how it is. We've told you guys the safety on what to do. Talk about it tonight. But at the end of the day, we can't force you guys to take severe weather seriously. We can't. So if you don't take it seriously, that's just how it is for tomorrow. But we're going to be here. We're still going to be here. We're going to give you guys information on what's going on and everything like that. But you gotta take it seriously. Like you gotta take it seriously for tomorrow, guys. But if you don't, that's how it's going to be. Okay. So we're going to answer a few more questions, and then we're going to hop off to kind of get ready for tonight's threat and tomorrow here. Okay. So Will, I love your comment. Rich or Jeff, this is kind of something that no one's really talked about, the flooding potential. What do you guys think about that for tomorrow?
For tomorrow?
Yeah.
Ooh, I haven't checked the latest keep you up on that, but I can.
There could be some training of storms tomorrow.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to be very widespread, but sometimes when you have those storms fire up in a line, they may initially move pretty slowly. So what winds up happening is, even though the individual cells are moving, the line isn't moving that fast. So you just keep getting hit over and over again several times. So you wind up with an inch of rain, another inch of rain, and then another inch of rain, and all of a sudden you have a flood threat. So I do think that there is some flood threat there. I don't think it's very widespread. I think it's very limited in coverage for flooding. But that being said, I could not rule out a spot or two that winds up seeing some storms train over them and winding up with several inches of rainfall, especially since the ground is pretty saturated right now. That could lead to some localized flash flood concerns. Not just for tomorrow night, but even for tonight, very localized flood concerns.
Right. So, and looking at tomorrow's potential, we could see some isolated flash flooding events, especially in central to south Arkansas, registering anywhere from 1 to 2 inches within a matter of an hour or so. So, an hour or two, especially down in the south for 2 inches. So, there is some localized threat, especially for tonight as well.
Yeah. So I circled that for risk because there's a lot of people that are asking, is this for tomorrow or for tonight? You got to pay attention to the entire graphic. This is why we have please do not skim read, because this is how it's going to be. This is tomorrow's map. This is tomorrow, guys. This is a situation that you got to pay attention to what's going on. You have one tonight that's going to be a very, very, very conditional threat, and then you have one for tomorrow. I wish there weren't two threats because it's confusing a lot of people right now, and I'm concerned. I'm concerned a lot of people are thinking tonight's threat's going to be it, and there's nothing going on tomorrow. You got to know what's going on. You have to. You got to know what's going on at this point. Brad Arnold, actually, he's a pretty known storm chaser. I'm pretty sure Jeff and you two know Brad Arnold. He's coming to Arkansas tomorrow. He's choosing Arkansas over the Ohio Valley for chasing. That's something. I mean, you have to keep. I mean, obviously it's not a certain deal, but like you said before, Jeff, the tornado threat would be greater up there in the Ohio Valley, but he's choosing to come to Arkansas over the Ohio Valley for tomorrow. So we'll have to wait and see on all that. But like I said, something that we'll watch. But like I said, for tonight, you have an isolated threat for tomorrow. Not tomorrow, tonight. You have an isolated threat tonight, and then you have a conditional threat that's going to go into overnight hours, and then you have a more widespread threat as we get into tomorrow. This map that you see, like I said, do not skim read. Do not skim read. Do not do it, guys, okay? You got to know where you are, where the zone is, and you have to read the entire graphic. This is for tomorrow. This is just how it is. So you got to know where you are. You got to go over it tonight with your family and friends. If you don't, that's just how it is. Make sure that you're paying attention tomorrow, guys. We're just not going to be able to sit here and go over every single city and every single county in Arkansas tomorrow. It's impossible. We'd be sitting here for 36 hours trying to go over every single person in Arkansas. But this is it. This is going to be the zone for tomorrow. This is what we have, something that we'll have to monitor. But this is what we're going to be looking at for tomorrow. Tonight's threat is more of an isolated conditional threat, like Jeff mentioned before. A few showers here and there, and then that's going to be it as we move into tomorrow. Now, to kind of clear this up, I'm going to show you guys Futurecast for tomorrow along with the storm fuel. I want to make this crystal clear to every single person that's listening to this. We have 400 people on Facebook. I don't know how we have on YouTube. I want to make this clear. Do not take this radar as a grain of salt that is going to be a 100% guarantee on you're going to see storms. This is going to change. This is data at the end of the day. It's going to change on you between now and tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning, you may be looking at a completely different simulated radar that you're looking at tonight. So I'm going to show y'all this. But do not hold it over our heads in terms of, oh, Futurecast had it at noon and it doesn't show it. I mean, what happened? That's just how it is with data. Data is going to shift on you. Okay, so we're going to break this down for tomorrow. I'm going to show you guys this. Okay, so this is for tonight's round. There's a couple of showers here and there. I'm going to kind of speed blitz through this because this is going to move out by the time we move into the overnight hours. Isolated event, large hail, damaging winds, isolated tornado 2 is possible. Now, here's the situations we get into tomorrow. Okay, this is 10 a.m. Few showers starting to develop over here in northwestern Arkansas, and then that's it. I love this comment from Sarah because the weather changes and shifts, and everybody needs to understand that. That's how it is. That's how it is, especially here in Arkansas. You guys know full well how much stuff can change between now and then. Okay, now you can see first and foremost, this is a lot of storm fuel. I'm gonna go ahead and switch the label over so you guys kind of get a visual of what the storm fuel looks like. So this is the storm fuel that you're looking at along with the radar. It's a lot of instability tomorrow. This is approaching extreme levels across the state. Okay, now you can see by the time we get into this is simulated radar, keep that in mind, about 5 o'clock. I don't know about you two. I don't trust the HRR with timing because it's always, for some odd reason, it is always earlier than what you actually see on here. But you can see about 4 or 5 o'clock, this is where it starts to pop off over here in northwestern Arkansas. And then you can see by the time we get into 6, there's a lot of storms here. So this is looking at the Futurecast for tomorrow. This is not tonight. This is tomorrow. I know it's confusing. I know it's confusing a lot of people. But you have a threat, isolated conditional threat tonight. You have a much more widespread threat tomorrow. Okay? A couple of things we're going to watch. You can see a few isolated cells may get up ahead of the line. This is mainly going to be, you can see with the cores, large hail will be a very concern for tomorrow, along with the damaging wind threat and an isolated tornado threat as we move into tomorrow. Okay? Now, let's take this out. All right, this is 7 p.m. for tomorrow. This is, like I said, simulated radar. You're going to wake up tomorrow morning. It's going to be a completely different situation. That's just how it is when you're looking at raw model data. So, this is what we have. 8 o'clock, same thing. You can see line of storms moving in. This is tomorrow evening, by the way. Just making that clear. Tomorrow evening, not tonight. And then you can take this out. There's 9. You can see a line of storms moving in. You have to watch some of these cells ahead of the line. Main threat, damaging winds, and large hail. Let's take this out a little bit further. There we go at 10 o'clock tomorrow evening. There's a line of storms moving through. Main threat, damaging winds, large hail, isolated tornado threats. We move it to tomorrow. And then we move it to 11 o'clock. Same thing. You can see line of storms from Jonesboro, Brinkley, Pine Bluff, Arkadelphia, all the way down to Texarkana. Once again, damaging winds, hail, isolated tornado threat. And then you can take this out a little bit further. There's midnight going into tomorrow night and into Thursday morning. Still a lot of storms down here in southern Arkansas. Main threat will be damaging winds and hail by this point. I think your tornado threat will start to come to an end, but we'll keep an eye on that. And yeah, we take this out a little bit further. There's 1, there's 2, and then there's 3 o'clock in the morning. Line of storms pushes through. We end the threat by the time we get into late tomorrow night, and then that's going to be it across the area here. So to repeat, there's your timing for tomorrow. It's going to start right around 4 or 5 o'clock out here in western Arkansas. It's going to blow up into a line, and then it's going to push east throughout the state, and then that's going to be it. That's going to end the story for this entire event, and then we move on. We get a quiet Thursday, Friday, and into the weekend. The weekend was absolutely beautiful, and then we're done with this event. So I've pretty much gone over everything. Go download our weather app. It's going to give you the radar. You don't have to rely on waiting on everything. It's going to tell you the same situation, okay? So a recap tonight. Damaging winds, hail, isolated tornado threat. Tomorrow, much more widespread threat. Damaging winds, large hail, isolated tornado threat for tomorrow. We'll keep an eye on that tornado threat depending on what happens tonight. But I want you guys to focus more on the damage you win and hail threat tomorrow than you will the tornado threat. But the tornado threat is going to be something that we'll keep an eye on here as we move into tomorrow here. Okay, so to recap, let's do this. This is for tomorrow. Matter of fact, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go back to tonight. Okay, so this is tonight. Pretty much, I know it says 8 p.m., but pretty much now all the way to about 4 o'clock in the morning. That's the timing for tonight. Hail, damage winds, isolated tornado threat tonight with these storms. Okay, and then this is the risk for tomorrow. Level 3 for much of the state. Level 2 down there in southeastern Arkansas. Severe storms are likely. A few of them could be intense. We're not expecting this to get upgraded to a level 4. It's just I don't think that's going to happen. If they do it, Jeff, it's probably going to be for wind. It's probably going to be a damage wind deal if they do it, but I doubt it. I think they'll probably end up doing
I'm looking at some of the new information coming in.
Yeah.
So you're showing the high resolution rapid refresh, or we call it the HER.
Yeah, the HER.
That was the afternoon run, right?
Yeah.
18s.
Yeah, it was the afternoon run. I don't have the zeros yet because it's probably just not coming
so
out.
I'm watching like the new run is like literally just coming in right
Yeah.
now, like hot off the presses, and I'm watching that. And so as far as the timing goes, very similar with the timing, the initiation, Western Arkansas, Eastern Oklahoma, around 4 or 5 o'clock, and the storms moving towards Central Arkansas during the evening hours. I noticed one change here is that the central for Central and Southwest Arkansas, it significantly weakens the line as it moves eastward into Central and Southern Arkansas. Now, again, that doesn't mean that, hey, everything's fine now. This is just, you have to look at how the models trend, not just one model run and make changes with it. But, one of the things that we were talking about was the strength of that cap tomorrow evening and why there's some bust potential because of that cap and if it remains too strong. So, what it may be picking up on is, that cap might remain pretty strong, and that could cause parts of the line, especially as you get into the southern half of the state, it could cause the storms along that line to really struggle and possibly even sputter out a bit, resulting in a more scattered severe threat as far as the line. However, it does still maintain some strong storms, especially across north central and into northeast Arkansas, with the strongest storms, the bad risk across Missouri, southern Illinois, and into western Kentucky, where we have that hatched tornado threat right now. So based on what I'm seeing with the trends, I do not expect to see a categorical upgrade for Arkansas tomorrow. I would not be surprised to see a categorical upgrade for parts of Missouri from about St. Louis over towards Pine Bluff and Paducah. If there is a moderate risk, again, it may cover a very, very tiny part of northeast Arkansas, maybe Clay County over towards Piggott. That would be likely about the extent of any sort of moderate risk. I do expect that the enhanced risk is going to stay. But based on what I'm seeing tonight, because of the strength of the lid and the model trends with the HER, I do not expect an upgrade.
All right, there you guys have it, and that's why we tell you guys all the time that severe weather is not a 100% guarantee. We never told you guys there was going to be a significant tornado threat. We told you guys straightforward that damaging wind, hail threat, and a tornado threat is there for tomorrow. That's just how it's going to be as we get into the area here. So we'll keep an eye on that, like I mentioned before. Great analysis, Jeff. Thank you so much for that. That's why we have him on our team. We tell you guys all the time that, severe weather, 80% can occur, but there's always that 20%. There's situations where you have that mesoscale stuff that could potentially lead to it busting here. But keep in mind, like Jeff said, that doesn't mean that, everything's clear, you're not going to see anything and all that. You still have the threat of seeing strong to severe storms as we get into tomorrow here. So this is the threat. We're here. Like I said before, I think that's pretty much it that we have. We've gone over everything. I mean, the timing for tonight, the timing for tomorrow, the risk breakdown, the counties. We've gone over every single thing that you guys need to know for tomorrow. So take the time tonight. Go over your severe weather plans with your family and friends. If you don't see severe weather tomorrow, it's not the end of the world, I guarantee you. But if you do, at least you have a plan ready to go. And take care of that stuff tonight. Don't wait until, warnings start popping up tomorrow and everything like that. Keep in mind that, like I said before, This is model data. It's going to change on you a billion times before we get into tomorrow morning. That's why I hate showing y'all Futurecast, but I wanted to show y'all that to kind of get a visual on what the radar is going to potentially look like tomorrow. But something that we'll have to keep an eye on here, guys. So we'll announce when we have the YouTube up for tonight's event. Like I said, it's just going to be an isolated conditional threat. It's not going to be a widespread tornado or significant severe weather event for tonight. And then we'll keep an eye on tomorrow's threat. So from myself, Jeff, and Rich, that's all we have for you guys tonight. Thank y'all for tuning in. Like I said before, we're going to be here. We're going to keep you guys updated right here, your source for all things Arkansas weather.